Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Anthony Wade. If you end up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell. For tonight's episode on February 28th, 2025, we're going to the realm of the Demonslayer, something I have not covered extensively. I know other folks who have. This was originally like Greg Locke's territory until he has now graduated to a more sophisticated form of grifting. But now it's primarily held down by the likes of Captain Crick and the four doctrinal idiots we're going to be looking at tonight. This is Isaiah Saldivar, Alexander Pagani, Vlad Savchuk, and Mike Signorelli. So Charisma ran a video that they did. The four of them, they're all on the video, trying to explain why Discernment Ministries are, bad, and that you shouldn't call people out. So let's get right to it. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe not right to it. Before we do, the basic concept of the Demonslayer nonsense is that Christians can be possessed, that they were significantly influenced by demons, and that these four guys have figured out the intricacies of casting them out. So it's like this performative, I have covered Captain Crick when she had a child rolling around on the ground and made the mother send her a significant enough seed through her app before being willing to deliver the child. So let's hear what these folks have to say.
Okay, why don't you guys call out, and I'm trying to pick the controversial ones, guys. I went through a bunch of questions. Why don't you guys call out people by name? This is something we've all, we could all give our take on, but we've all said, we don't mention names. To me, I look at the calling out names partially as the boy who cried wolf, right? The boy who cried wolf, no one takes him serious because he's always crying wolf. And when...
Now, I apologize ahead of time. There's going to be a lot of stopping because I have already watched this video. The boy who cried wolf, all the times that he cried wolf until the actual time he was a wolf, he was lying. So the analogy is stupid. The notion of the boy who cried wolf is that, the first 20 times that he cried wolf, there was no wolf, so that nobody took him seriously. That's not what happens in Discernment Ministries. The problem is that, people in the apostate church keep behaving like the heretics that they are. And the ongoing flavor that you're going to get, as usual, is, this protect the wolf and no consideration for the sheep.
When you're always using your platform to call everybody else out, not only is it a sign of pride and a sign of arrogance and ignorance.
Okay. Calling false teachers is not prideful. I guess if somebody was acting like, the publican in the parable and saying, at least I'm not like this person, then it could be prideful. But I don't know any discernment minister who's done that. It's also, the arrogance is in the false teaching, the ignorance displayed by these four people, and most false teachers, and certainly within the Demonslayer camp, is staggering. So basically, this is kind of like a form of projection from Isaiah.
If you think everybody's false but you, that's literally how cults start.
I'm using that, the four guys who essentially run their own little cult is, again, projecting that the person who tells other people, hey, stay away from these wolves, that's the person that's creating a cult, is just laughable.
But I think that you lose the power to even call anything out, to even call out sin. I do think there are occasions where somebody is...
Be careful here, because it's a little clever sleight of hand. It's not calling out sin. It's calling out false teaching. There's a vast difference.
So far gone, they do not believe the essential doctrines. They're causing damage to the body. And if you are a shepherd of a flock, you should probably warn your flock.
Okay. So if there is somebody out there in the apostate church who is teaching the notion that that Christians who are filled with the Holy Spirit can be demon possessed, that is a damnable heresy that will lead so many people astray that it has to be called out, according to Isaiah Saldivar. So thank you.
But I think that it's usually very rare, and with internet culture,
Really. So heresy is very rare. It wasn't rare in Paul's time when he was calling out false teachers left and right. It's certainly not today.
now everybody has a voice, everybody's a quote unquote leader, and now we have call out culture and cancel culture where any random guy can just make a video. Isaiah Saldivar's a heretic because he believes Christians can have demons.
That's correct. So I'm not sure exactly who made that video, but kudos. Isaiah Saldivar is a heretic because he believes that Christians can have demons. Very well said. But again, it's beyond amusing that 4 people who have built their entire career and all the money that they make based upon YouTube are upset that other people then go on YouTube and make videos calling them out.
It goes viral, and people are like, are you going to respond? I don't even know who that guy is. Who is he? He's not my spiritual covering or father. I don't even know.
Is that the standard? So you only can respond to your spiritual covering or spiritual father, which is a hallmark of NAR kind of, BS beliefs that, like, for example, Jennifer LeClaire's covering is James Gall. All that means is that she paid him money to say, hey, Jennifer's, a prophetess. And Jennifer then sells her covering to people who are at a lower tier than she is. So, it's just more apostate church psychopath.
Oh, this guy, some random guy in a basement somewhere online. And I have to respond to every.
I don't actually have a basement, but, do any of these guys look like they're not in a basement?
Every single person online that calls me out. Not only is it not biblical, it's just not healthy to create channels.
It's not biblical. What about Alexander the Coppersmith? What about Hymenaeus and Philetus? What about the fact that Paul called out Peter when he was doing something wrong? All these people called out my name. There's absolutely no question.
Channels where all you're doing is tearing people down. All you're doing is being negative. All you're doing is calling people out. I just personally.
The negativity is brought in from the false teaching, not from those who call it out.
Don't see how it benefits the body of Christ. I think.
Really, you don't see how the sheep would benefit from knowing who's a wolf. And that's all you need to know about Isaiah Saldivar being a wolf.
Creates an angry mob of people. And if you want to prove this, you can go to these channels and look at the comment section. It's all anger. It's all mad. It's, oh, this guy, it's making fun. And I personally don't want to have a platform like that or create a people that are unhealthy.
No, you'd rather have a platform, where's Isaiah, where you do videos about shocking testimonies of people who went to hell, which is not really a thing, right? Or the exposing the spirit of Python with Jenny the Grifter Weaver. That's what you'd rather spend your days on.
Like that. But what do you guys think? Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my own personal conviction.
Well, I gotta. Go ahead. Let me say this. First of all, we do call people out, but we call people out when we have weighed the evidence and we are 100% sure.
That's the standard. What they're doing is setting up a ridiculous level that they can never get to, because this almost sounds like the Bethel excuse for why they didn't tell everybody about Sean Bowles. Well, some people disagreed. Like that matters. It doesn't matter. You examine the teaching, you test everything according to the word. The word doesn't say test everything and wait till you're 100% sure before saying something. When Dr. Brown went down to IHOP and told everybody to chill out and don't talk about this on social media, and Discernment Ministries like mine and others were correctly calling out, we already had enough information. We didn't need, and by the way, you're going to hear a bit about, what if we're wrong? Show me one instance, because I can't think of one, honestly, of a wolf who was exposed, who later on we found out that the story was somehow untrue.
That this needs to be called out. My fear is being a false witness because I haven't weighed.
Your real fear should be the fact that you're a false teacher. a false witness. And by the way, reporting what is going on is not bearing false witness. So the fact that I can discuss the two victims of Dr. Michael Brown or the multiple victims of Mike Bickle is not bearing false witness. It is reporting what is being said and commenting upon it.
All of the evidence in proper balance to be able to make a proper judgment call. The Bible says it is foolish to not hear the matter fully. It actually talks about things like that. So I have.
What more did you need to hear in any of these instances? What more did you need to hear in Robert Morris's instance? He denied it. His board tried to defend it, and then they realized they were being lied to, and then the truth, was finally revealed. What more would you need to hear?
I have a fear that I'll be quick to condemn something, and then I found out that it was either a misspeak, or maybe needed more clarification, or maybe they're just in error and might not be erroneous. Like there's a big difference, they might still be evolving.
I don't even know what that means. Still evolving in what?
I just don't want to be that guy that then I have to make another video saying sorry. Then I got to be like, okay.
Yeah. Name one example of somebody who it was reported by Discernment Ministries, had done X, Y, or Z, and then later on it was proven to be false. Because I honestly can't think of one.
Hey guys, I was wrong about this. This guy, so I think there is a proper biblical protocol to be able to make that judgment. But the Bible talks about weighing all the evidence. But then there's also a proper ecclesiastical, at least for me, to be able to do that. Matthew 18 talks about that. You know what I'm saying? For me, I have to bring it to my church elders.
That's not, for the 100th time, what the Matthew 18 verses are. As I've said countless times, it is the first refuge of the scoundrel false teacher who has fallen. To run into Matthew 18 and say, oh, you have to follow this procedure so they can control the information and prevent people from hearing the truth. Okay? Now, I mean, if Pagani is saying, I don't know his personal situation about what church he belongs to, or if he actually has to answer to a board, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't have to tell them ahead of time that he intends to correctly warn the body of Christ about a false teaching.
Is this something that we need to make a public statement on that's going to reflect on the integrity of the organization?
Sounds a lot like Valentin in 2020, the text that were revealed, where he was basically saying, Sean Bowles is completely false. You should have nothing to do with him. But I'm not going to tell the church because I'm concerned that will hurt the international brand of prophets. It's always protect the brand, protect the wolf, never any concern for the bloodied sheep.
What does this have to do with us? And then on top of that, I have to filter it through the people that are closest to me, that I love, that can tell me the truth and say, Pagani, why do you want to chime into this? So
does that matter? Either something is false or it's not. What does it matter if the people you love then turn to you and go, well, like, do you really want to say this? I mean, the only thing that should matter to you as a minister of the gospel is whether it's true or not.
It's not just, I disagree with something and I'm just going to call someone out. Remember, a public rebuke doesn't just affect the person you're rebuking, it affects everyone that's attached to you that's being the rebuker.
That makes absolutely no sense. A public rebuke, first of all, he's mixing biblical terms. All we're talking about is whether or not you should be naming pastors by name who are false or who have fallen, who have done something. You're doing that doesn't affect everybody who's attached to you. It only affects you. And by the way, if the only effect it should have on the people peripheral to you is that they should respect the fact that you're being honest.
Wow. So I have to make sure that everyone that's with me is able to stand with me and saying,
you're just a coward then. Everybody has to stand with you for you to stand for the truth.
he stand against this. And I just think that we just do it too quickly. I think we do it too quickly. But one thing I can say is that when we decide that it's time to do that, then it's not just me speaking. My whole organization is standing with me and those that hold me accountable, so that when there's backlash, it doesn't faze me. Because
so it wouldn't faze you just because other people agreed with you to come forward. And by the way, does anybody know any false teacher that Alexander Pagani has called out? Because he's making it sound like, oh, we do. And, when I have gathered all the evidence and I'm 100% sure and everybody I know is with me, I've come out. Really? Give me one.
Because I've went through the proper channels to be able to make that public rebuke.
Excuses.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, that was so good. That was so good. So, and my thing kind of piggybacks off of that. So I just got back from retracing the Protestant Reformation. So I was in Neuchâtel, Switzerland, Geneva. I was in Berlin. And as I traveled through these regions, this is two countries now, right? Now go back 500 years. I had this mind-blowing revelation. So you have John Calvin, you've got, William Farel, you've got Martin Luther. And here's the thing, these guys, when they had issue with each other's theology, would have to travel by horse across waterways, mountains, valleys, to dignify somebody to show up to their office. Like when William Farel went from the northern part of Switzerland all the way down to Geneva to confront Calvin, it was like you had to make a physical journey to do that. My point is, this is the mind-blowing revelation I had, is we've cheapened it to a YouTube video calling somebody out. Yeah. It's like these guys would dignify each other. They would say, okay, you bring your best theological argument, I'll bring mine. But here's the thing, they were motivated by compassion, not criticism.
All right. First of all, comparing what was happening hundreds of years ago to today is asinine. Because, not to mention the fact that he neglects the part that his ministry is online. He's only risen to the heights that he is because of social media. So the notion that because the response to that is on social media, but look what Calvin did hundreds of years ago, is just beyond moronically stupid. It's again, the excuses that they come up with for not wanting to be honest is kind of staggering. The secondary point here is, we're talking about people who had genuine theological differences, that, the Reformation being critical of the Catholic Church, for example. We're not talking about, this one is this guy, right? Alexander Pagani. No, he's, Signorelli. We're not talking about, Signorelli saying, the biblical truth, are aliens really demons? Or the one next to it on his line, stop explaining yourself to demons inside of people. Okay, so the notion, so where exactly are those two concepts within the chain of thinking between John Calvin and somebody who may have ridden on horseback, 5 days to have a debate with him? John Calvin wasn't, making an argument that, people who left the witchcraft and biblical truths about aliens. So spare me.
And that's how you got the Protestant Reformation, was the Catholic Church is selling indulgences. People are being deceived, and we've got to take the church back to the original design. What is it? And so I just thought about, would you still criticize Alexander Pagani's theology if YouTube didn't exist?
Alexander Pagani wouldn't exist without YouTube. So no, I wouldn't. I mean, the point literally makes no sense.
Would you still make the video if nobody watched it? Would you?
But would you? Your entire ministry is online. You're a YouTube demon slayer. Would you? I mean, Signorelli may be involved in running, a church now, but he only got there because of his YouTube videos. He only got there because, Mike Signorelli has 1.15 million subscribers, and he's going to sit here and pretend that like somehow, oh, you're using YouTube. Would you do that if nobody was watching? Nobody'd be watching you.
Still blog about Isaiah Saldivar if it didn't do something for your ego, for your status, for your. And let me just tell you,
believe me, talking about these four idiots does not do anything for my ego. What it does is hopefully warn the people who are following them, or people who might be ensnared by their false teaching, to stay away.
Pastor Mike, well, what authority do you have to say that? Well,
the Bible is the authority I have.
Well, I'm a part of a church planning organization, and my apostolic oversight, we had a guy in our organization that.
So just to be clear, that means that he has an apostle overseeing you.
Had some serious sin. And so they asked me, would you move your family? This is during the pandemic. Mike, would you be willing to move your family across country and pastor two churches at the same time, V1 Church and his church, while we go into a deep investigation of this man's life, his finances, the fruit of his ministry? So it's like, you talk about call out culture, cancel culture, all this stuff. It's trivial to someone like me, because to find the truth about another minister's life, I had to move my entire family into his neighborhood and actually do the deep work of reconciling his church and working through those issues. So I think right now it's like, I look at a lot of these guys and I'm like, man, these guys, I mean, I'm just going to say it in the most theological way I can. They're punks. They're wusses. These guys have no backbone.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, it's again, ridiculously amusing for someone like Mike Signorelli to call other people punks. And it's not, I think he's prefaced by saying, I'm just going to be biblical or something like that, right? I don't even know. Again, it sounds like somebody has struck a nerve. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not me. I don't think I've ever covered this guy. But, apparently he's not happy with somebody.
It's like it's like they don't they're bad at what they do. Like someone the other day made a video about like saying, I don't know Greek. By the way, I'm halfway through with my master's in theology right now. And the fact is, what I said was right. I fact checked it. I went through different channels, but the irony of their video is that they were actually wrong in their video. And so, and to go back to Pagani's point, it's like, it's so weird because just because somebody makes a thumbnail doesn't make them authoritative. Just because somebody has a nice camera in 4K doesn't make them authoritative.
But that counts for you. You're the guy with the 4K camera. You're the guy who makes the thumbnails. You're the guy who's got 1.15 million subscribers on your YouTube channel.
I think that we need to increase in maturity and discernment. And so I do call leaders.
So we need an increase in discernment by telling people who are in discernment ministries to stop discerning. Just in case you're having trouble following this nonsense.
Leaders out, but I call them out to their face. I move my family across country to do the deep work. And I think that's the heritage we have from the Protestant Reformation is get on horseback, don't get on Facebook. Go through the rivers and valleys,
and they're all like, yeah. Without Facebook and YouTube, these people don't exist. They're working at Walmart.
Go do the real thing, but they're not going to do that. And the last thing I say, because and I'm going to take a drink to my polar seltzer water after I say this, but the thing, because it needs to be said, this needs to be said. I have actually emailed some of the people who've made content about me, saying I would love to have a charitable discussion. I would love to have a theological, I'm willing to do the work to build the bridge of relationship, and let's do it privately. I'm not doing it for likes or follows or fans or subscribers. And to date, 0 of them have taken me up on the offer.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously that's anecdotal and not supported by anything reliable. But even if it was true that he did this outreach, I don't know who he asked. Why in the world would I want to debate a wolf? Why would I want to debate somebody who is completely devouring Christians and people trying to find God? This is the thing people never got about Michael Brown, and me too. I went on Dr. Brown's show twice. All he does is use those debates to further his platform. It's always presented like, I just want to have a fair exchange, and no, and not to mention the fact that you don't answer the criticism to begin with because you can't biblically.
Yeah. So that's your motive, and it's a lot of these guys are very weird. They're mentally ill, and okay, so think about the
you think Christians are filled with demons, so much so, and then you're questioning whether aliens are demons, but you think the people who criticize you for those things are mentally ill. Okay.
A 45-year-old man taking my face, etching it out, and then laughing. and then there's a file on their computer that actually is named, crown, and they put it on my head and they're laughing. And the other day I was actually imagining some of these grown men making thumbnails of us, and I was like, they're white. Like, nobody in their life says, hey, when you were manipulating Mike's face and distorting, like, that's weird. Yes. Like, nobody tells these guys that's mentally unwell. Like, you need to get a real hobby. Yeah. Okay, so I'm done. I agree.
I remember when Leonard Ravenhill, they asked him why he's always criticizing the church, and he said something. He's like, I weep for the church 6 to 10 hours a day. He's like, because I weep for the church, I can whip the church. And what my challenge with people is that they gloat when people fall, and mainly because it gives them...
Who gloats when people fall? I hear this refrain a lot from people who don't like discernment. I didn't see anybody gloat over Mike Bickle. My concern was for the sheep and for the people who sat under this demonic teaching for decades. Nobody gloats. I'm not. The fact that Michael Brown has now been revealed and exposed doesn't make me happy. I went on a show twice. I went on a show in good faith. And you can read my work on Brown. It always used to start with, I try to cut as much grace as possible. But after a while, when the evidence builds up, you're forced to have to deal with the truth.
Clicks. Maybe some of these people, they didn't start...
Clicks. This is Vlad Savchuk. So Vlad's got 1.89 million subscribers, but he wants to be critical because he thinks somebody else is just doing stuff for clicks. Laughing.
Started like that, but they released one video and they saw that, since they don't have anything else to say, what if this is something that they could keep on commenting, and now it became a habit, and now it became an addiction, and now it became a ministry. And then, of course, they find scriptures to justify that. But when Saul fell off the rails, Samuel, who rebuked him to face, he mourned for him. He grieved for his fall. And what...
You're not Saul. By the way, I'm not Samuel. So, my job is not to, first of all, this notion again, well, you got to rebuke me to my face. Would you go for that meeting? No.
What grieves me is that we don't grieve a lot of times when stuff like that happens. We just gloat. And
who are we grieving for? You see, what the people who Discernment Ministries grieve for are the sheep, are the victims. And there's always victims of people like this. That mother who was supposedly sending money to Catherine Crick is a victim. That's who you grieve for, not for the wolf who's devouring the sheep. You don't grieve for Mike Bickle. You don't grieve for Robert Morris.
We quickly jump online and let's make a video because, I haven't posted anything and I've been waiting for somebody to fall so that I can make a new video. And
I wish, I swear. And I'm sure the discernment ministers that I talk to a lot feel the same way. I wish I didn't have to do any of this. I'd rather do biblical exposition, which I also do, online as well. Then cover sneaky squid spirits and, people who think that Jesus was playing a saxophone at the end of their bed, and people who think demons, can infect, spirit-filled believers. I wish I didn't have to cover these idiots. I really do.
Sometimes our response to someone's sin can be a sin too. Like, what happened to Noah was bad. How his sons reacted to that also wasn't good. Moses married this girl lady he wasn't supposed to. How Miriam responded.
Vlad Savchuk, just to be clear, ain't Moses.
And so we just have to be careful that we don't rush quickly to stone somebody because, like they were doing with the woman caught in the act of adultery. In fact, they had all the facts. She was caught in the act of adultery.
That's an individual person who was caught in sin. Once again, going back to Matthew 18 confusion. Not somebody who has a position of spiritual authority, who's trying to pretend that they're anointed and called by God, who's doing nothing but lying about God's word.
Adultery. Many times we don't have all the facts. Like Pagani mentioned, we actually are judging based on the latest article that could be wrong.
It could be, or it could be right, and the discussion of it still remains important. And again, I challenge these four guys. Give me one example. One example.
And we quickly getting our stones instead of picking up a mirror. I was reminded in the Old Testament,
Drop
Israel
bombs casually.
When God used Israel to judge, God used Babylon to judge Israel. Israel deserved it. He rebuked them. They didn't correct their way, and he used Babylon. And then he came and judged Babylon because they went too far.
Is that why? I'm not sure if he owns an Old Testament.
And what I'm seeing, some of these people, a lot of them, I get it. If there is a sin, if there is a thing, and they feel like this is their calling to call it out, that's fine. But what a lot of them do, I really feel like a lot of them go too far. They say stuff that is completely not true. And
One example, because I guarantee you he doesn't have one.
And God is going to hold people responsible. And if
every careless word, absolutely. And that should not be a source of solace for you, Savchuk.
And so it grieves my heart when I see that people build their ministries on the falling of other people.
Yeah, and it's quite frank. If you want to know someone's motives, go look at their channel. If they have a video of a Bible teaching that gets 400 views, and then they call out Mike or me or Pagani and it gets 40,000, what do you think they're going to make? They're going to keep making the call out videos because their Bible teaching videos get no views. They're paying their bills with ad revenue, and they're using our likeness to get massive.
Yeah, it's all about you and your likeness, as Isaiah. And for the record, I don't have any ad revenue. So this is a service to the body of Christ. That's all it is. It's the reason why so many more click on the exposure videos is because they want to know the truth. It is sad. I wish that more straight up biblical teaching, did garner more views.
Amounts of views, and they have to continue their live, continue all these things. And here's the thing, you guys in the chat that are commenting, you guys need to call more people out. You just need to look yourself in the mirror and realize you love drama. That's why you want us to call people out. That's why you love the TD Jakes videos. You love the Maverick City call.
Defending TD Jakes now? That's not a good look either.
All the videos that you guys love to watch all day long that are just giving you, they're not making you grow at all. All they're doing is making you a cynical, judgmental Christian.
Understanding who is a false teacher does not make you a cynical, judgmental Christian.
You love drama. You got delivered from watching the Desperate.
I make you a deal, Isaiah. Stop being a false teacher, and I'll stop calling you out for it. That's the deal. That's not drama. And if it is drama, you're the one who's perpetuating it.
Housewives of Miami, and now you watch these YouTubers that call everybody out. Anytime there's a scandal, every single one of them has a video ready to go. I told you, I knew it. They knew everything. They were ready for everybody's sin, and it's crazy because they're able to call everybody else's sin out but their own. They can't see their own pride, their own arrogance, but they're able to see. And this is the parable of before you take out the speck from your brother's eye, remove the plank out of your eye.
That is not what those verses mean. I understand that so many people just do not understand what those verses mean. If I was preaching demonic deliverance, and then I was doing a YouTube video speaking against him because he preaches demonic deliverance, that's what those verses mean. if I've got a plank in my eye, I shouldn't be worried about the speck in his. I'm not teaching that stuff.
You know, guys that do this, they make videos every time a pastor falls. I'm like, man, they must have had that queued up and ready.
Should you not? Should you not warn the body of Christ?
The moment the pastor falls, within an hour, they have a video out. I told you guys I knew he was going to fall. I'm like, bro, you literally have so much sin in your own life, and you're able to call everybody else's sin out but your own, and it gets views, it gets clicks. We all know how to get views. If you make a video calling someone out, we already know we're going to get 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 views. And the reason is people love drama. They love toxic poison.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is.
It's toxic poison to correctly call out people who, believe in demonic teachings that these guys do. Who's the one that, well, not Pagani, is your phone the devil's trap? Yeah, I just can't.
It's the flesh, the human nature. We have to stop being in love with that. I have to do that to myself, where I see these videos of so-and-so fell. I'm like, I don't even want to watch that. It's poison to my spirit. It's poison to my soul. So yeah, we're the consumer to this content. We got to stop. We got to stop consuming this toxic content.
That's about it. So, I don't have much to say in conclusion. I don't generally cover these guys. I've done a couple pieces on Crick. I certainly deal with Greg Locke a lot, but not these four clowns, because what the scam they have going is and it's just hysterical. It's they just want clicks, and between them they have like 5 million subscribers on YouTube. They'd have no ministry. These are known as the YouTube Demonslayers. That's what these four guys are known as. So if they manage to parlay that into other false ministries that are off of social media, they only got there because of social media. So that to then criticize, everybody is on YouTube with an opinion. Yeah, so are you. That's the nature of the world that we live in today. So when you put out a stupid video and somebody says, hey, this is a stupid video, what makes their criticism of it less valid than your initial stupid video? It's such a ridiculously stupid point. But I didn't expect anything less from these four. They get a lot of proper critique and discernment, and they don't like it. And this video basically is the four of them slapping each other on the back, saying that all the people who have been mean to them should really be quiet now. Sorry. All right, thanks for stopping by. Test everything. Hold fast.